Well, First Pick has won every game so far between Team Freedom and Octalysis, and Freedom losing the last game has the choice of First Pick. Do they take it? Is that what they want to do, or do they feel like they need to avoid some of the battlegrounds that are still up that I know Octalysis would love to go to?
I almost think that there needs to be, you know, it doesn't have to be written, but I think there should be an unwritten rule. Anytime there's a series and it goes to a final game and Towers hasn't been picked, that you have to go to Towers. Are you in on that?
That may be it. There was one Towers game that I casted in a certain grand finals that went a little haywire. So, you know, there's some drawbacks to that sometimes, but it sure does make for some dang epic games. Is it going to be Towers of Doom, or is it something else? What's the choice? Freedom has it. They pick First Pick in Battlefield of Eternity. Who's ready for some Li Ming Sergeant Hammer? Not that guy.
I can't get behind you on that one. Zeratul comes to mind. You 100% need to ban Hanzo from here. With Octalysis, they've been willing to go against the grain in a lot of situations. You know, kind of like woodworking. It's one of those things that if you're making horde things or alliance things, you sometimes got to go against the grain.
Why would you make alliance things?
I don't know.
Makes no sense to me. Anyway, Battlefield of Eternity. Li Ming Sergeant Hammer twice for Octalysis. Team Freedom has not played on Battlefield of Eternity yet this entire part.
You gotta take first off Lutano Hanzo, second off Hanzo on Battlefield of Eternity. You gotta take that out of the equation. It also takes away Sonic Arrow, which has vision, and if you want to go into the Zeratul or the Thrall, which we know teams like to run on this battleground, that is something that Hanzo deals with very well.
I know you like Towers as the last game of a series, but I sure do love Battlefield of Eternity, so I'm pretty stoked that here is where our teams will make their last stand. Octalysis has been a Battlefield of Eternity team for quite a while. It seems like it's faded out somewhat in comparison to things like Shrines, things like Tomb of the Spider Queen, but it's still there.
First ban Abathur.
Abathur will not be.
We've seen Tracer banned every single game by Octalysis against Team Freedom, and that will not change here. Hanzo, there has to be no way Hanzo makes it.
Just like I think there has to be no way Freedom lets Hammer through, so they ban that. Hammer gone. But that leaves up Genji. Are they okay with Genji? I think they'd be more okay with a Genji than Hanzo.
On this one, I'm more okay with a Genji than a Hanzo. At least I know I don't lose to...
Not Octalysis.
I mean, they're going to take their hand at Yrel Murden, I think. After this, Hanzo, snap lock, no problem for Team Freedom to run that. Just an insane win rate on this battleground. Still one of the most dominant heroes on Battlefield of Eternity. Octalysis, Murden has to be part of the equation here. If they want to dive, get to that backline, have the control, unless we're just seeing something way out of the ordinary.
Maybe Murden Phoenix. I don't think they pick Greymane this high, but you want to have somebody.
Wow.
Or Yrel Raynor.
Yrel does take into consideration the need to dive.
Yeah.
And get to the back line.
And Raynor, of course, could build into more monster damage like we saw in the last series.
Didn't work out so well. The Hanzo won that battle. Diablo and Phoenix.
Ooh.
There is so much damage potential there. The Lightning Breath into Salvo didn't pay off last game. See if they can find that success this game.
That is 3 super powerful heroes. Just looking at NA win rates alone, that's a good start to this draft. Octalysis, now what are you going to take away from them? Support? Perhaps. Freedom love their Karzim. Take Alex out. No Dragon Queen to siege with. Have to siege against. What do you think Freedom ban here? Is it Murden?
Murden seems really likely. Now, will Octalysis, do they pick up the Thrall? Gives them the initiation. Is Raynor enough of a damage dealer, or do we go back to the trusty Li Ming, who does do well on this battleground, has poke potential? Wow.
They leave it open. Johanna to slow the race. Blinds against Hanzo and Phoenix. Not too shabby.
Karazim into Johanna with blinds is tough.
Could easily still pick up Deckard Cain here.
Yeah, Deckard definitely could be the pickup.
They'll
They're
get
going to take Thrall themselves.
And Rhaegar.
Earthquake, Lightning Breath, Salvo will be ripping people apart this game. And that race potential is insane.
This is a Thrall that's played by Nasmus, which is continuing the trend of Team Freedom not playing triple melee, being way more likely to play Thrall from the solo laner perspective. Just something to keep in mind. But it is a highly synergistic composition, and a lot will be again on the shoulders of Prismaticism. Actually, no. Well, sort of. He's going to play the Raynor, and Draded has every now and again played the Li Ming instead. When there's a Prismaticism pick, seems like Raynor is more of a Prismaticism pick, so Draded will be on Li Ming.
Of all the drafts I would have expected in the draft order from Octalysis, they've tried to change up a lot. This is about as standard as it gets for drafts on Battlefield of Eternity. The Johanna for frontline control, the Yrel for the solo, the potential dive, and then just your standard damage of Raynor, Li Ming, and some Malfurion, but letting through Hanzo due to the fear of Tracer and Genji. That is difficult odds when you then add a Phoenix to that. How do you trade out damage against this team?
I didn't believe in Octalysis' draft in the last game. I will say that Freedom did hold a lot of that game, especially in the mid game, but I feel just as strongly about Freedom's draft last game as I did this one, and now it's on Battlefield of Eternity where the race is a lot. But let's see, with the Li Ming, if Octalysis has, for the second time in a row, been able to figure out the puzzle and use their flexibility to pull out a win in this series and keep their Western Clash hopes alive.
A lot, I think, rests on Diablo. On the front line and Zugrug, the plays that he's made, sometimes the decisions that come in. So he'll try his hand at Diablo again here in game number 5.
Two, 3 setup to start from Team Freedom. As we see Thrall and Phoenix head up to the top. It'll be, of course, Yrel there from Octalysis. Goku manning that top lane while the rest of the team is setting up in the bottom. Few minutes to go by. A few minutes for Freedom to stack up souls, which Feast on Fears, the change up. I think this is, we've seen this on Battlefield of Eternity before, not being as reliant on being able to get to those regen globes.
I think it's very wise. I mean, these stuns, somewhat easy to come by, especially when one of those is guaranteed. Barring you don't get interrupted and you're overpower, I guess.
No Exterminator this game for Raynor.
Yeah.
Back to A's in the hole.
Hanzo does not have very good clear in the early game. And despite the 3-2 setup, we'll take a look at the top in a moment. But Octalysis, they will gladly trade out in this situation and push forward.
Seems like Yrel's doing a good job of keeping them at bay. And that is a front wall down.
Wow.
Double towers. Way more for Octalysis.
Goku has done a great job in that top lane at keeping them at bay.
No more rotations up, but camps are now online if either team would like to get them. Goku's going to spot that Collusion has made a further rotation up to the top. Looking at getting that Khazra camp, Octalysis will do the same in the bottom. And then either side can make rotations to a Shaman camp ahead of the first Immortal phase.
Johanna and Li Ming will respond in kind to the top, recognizing they cannot push down enough to take a fort this early in the game. So they'll bring in reinforcements to help deal with this to continue the experience lead that they obtained by getting that fort wall down.
And the rotation from Malfurion and Raynor to get started on that Shaman camp. Same from Team Freedom. Teams just mirroring each other in this early game as we get set up for the first Immortal phase. Something you talked about in the last game, it's not until 7 and you have the cooldown reduction for Scatter Arrow of Hanzo. Can he start to burn down an Immortal as fast as you know that he can? So maybe something that Octalysis can take advantage of.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, I think it's okay, though, when we look at the fact that Phoenix and Thrall are both there.
Yeah, it's a good point.
They don't have great damage output, but they are strong individually, and when you put the 3 of them together, it's enough if you do get into a race trade there. I think that should win out. I mean, Raynor, it's hard to, I guess, gauge just as single target damage right now. There's no Exterminator this game. But Li Ming, the same, if she can pick up a globe before they do start. Get that power hungry, it only lasts 20 seconds.
Another Hand of Freedom for our Yrel player. As Goku will be able to give some movement speed and then remove slows and roots. There are...
Well,
the big deal is the root, yeah. There's slows there too, but looking at the follow-up crowd control after a Diablo, a lot of that's going to be either in the slows of Yoda or the root of a Thrall.
Well, Octalysis sees that Team Freedom opted to push with that Shaman camp in the early part, so they came down and got some damage in on the Immortal. They're just going to race, get about a 4,000 damage lead here to start, as Lutano starts to spread those scatter arrows in to try and whittle away some damage from the Immortal on the other side.
The laning setup has been great from Freedom, keeping Phoenix up at the top. He's on the other side of that Immortal. So what they can do is they put a solo laner in each side, Phoenix top, Nasmus bottom, and then they put the rest in the center. If Octalysis responds to them, Phoenix comes in and puts some damage in. If they start to go back to the Immortal, Phoenix goes back up, soaks, and then the tri-lane can move up. This is some pretty cool stuff we're seeing from Freedom.
The race towards 7 may inevitably spell out how the first part goes before the halftime phase. As we see, Hanzo finished as level 1. So getting that extra scatter arrow will help towards that race. If Octalysis plays the long game, Hanzo will get that 7 cooldown, and they will lose the race. And right now, Octalysis, they're trying to poke, and Zugrug is doing his job at eating all of that damage. 43 souls, not entirely stacked, so he can only eat so much of that. But here comes Lutano, and level 7, here it is.
Freedom's moving in. Octalysis is still playing patiently. Now that Yrel has dealt with, Yrel just can't join up with the rest of the team though. Nasmus has kept that lane pushed so hard that Goku can't get caught up to his team. Octalysis though, ever so slowly is bringing that down. Zugrug dives in. It's gonna pull into the root. Nature's Cure has to be, or excuse me, the cleanse. This damage is great. Zugrug getting punished for going too far in, too far aggressively there. The follow-up from the Malfurion Roots buds after Justin catches him, and then Drayda just systematically chasing him down. Halfway achieved.
Goku and Justin will do their best to eat all of the scatter arrows blind to deny the auto attacks, while the rest of Octalysis will race. They're getting the race in, but Lutano, see if he has enough catch-up. He does not. Octalysis, they do get the first Immortal, only 2,400 on that health. So the push will not be substantial, but getting control against a Hanzo early is exactly what you need, as Collusion is making sure to dance behind the gate.
Shoutouts to Freedom, who did do a sizable amount of damage to the health bars after, or while Zugrug, who knew his life was going to be forfeit, or was likely to do so, just used that time to bring down the health bar more. This means that there's not as much shielding, and they've already gotten it into melee range so that they can clear this out quickly. Still do a lot of damage, and Lutano is in a position where he can just keep bringing out those scatter arrows. So no fort taken out. It's halfway down. Octalysis has a lead in this game structurally for the moment and an experience, but it is still anyone's game, J-How.
Octalysis has done well to set themselves up because the early damage they did in that bot lane netted some experience, but that fort took some damage. The top fort took some damage. So if you get one pick, you can easily rotate into those lanes, stretch that lead. You get the experience off of the kill, then you could get another structure. Team Freedom not opting to take their Shaman camp around the next objective phase.
No, they want
to push with it.
Yeah, defend or push along with it in the bottom, but they are not defending this top. That was a great rotation from Octalysis, just to go up, get the camp, and then push along with it so they can guarantee that structure that they couldn't get otherwise. But there will be a double camp to push along with in the bottom. The thing is, Goku gets onto the point. Blessed Shield does not connect. Cleanse was there too, just to ensure it, but this stops anything that Team Freedom would have liked to do with those camps.
I think that he might have been dismounted by the minions, so he just had to try and rip it. It is a 60-second cooldown. There's no risk of a fight, at least for another 30 seconds until Team Freedom can pick up level 10 of their own, maybe a little bit quicker because the minions are following. That timing was off there. The minions fell in that push. The Hyperion not able to take down that fort. If we get to another stall position, Urel can always dive onto that.
J-Hal, that was such a cool rotation from Octalysis, though, that the second that Immortal was down, they went up, got the camps, they knew they could push with it, then had 10 and beelined for the bottom lane so they could stop Team Freedom from getting any structural damage in response. Almost took out that fort. That fort is next to nothing as long as they can get something done. The thing is, though, they went back and got their Shaman. That'll help them out later. Blessed Shield connects.
Hanzo blasting this. Here comes the salvo. Diablo, however, I'm waiting for something to happen there, but nothing did as he drops. Tranquility out. Justin trying to get onto Yoda. He's trying to crab walk away as best he can, unable to do so. And Octalysis fighting with a vengeance. They realize they are on a timer in these fights versus a Hanzo. They are bringing the fight to Team Freedom.
Yeah, and no one more so than Goku. Did you see him in that fight? Just smashing Nazbus into the wall, then had the stun lock, the team together to take out Zugrug, then went down, knocked Yoda into the wall again. Octalysis bring us to Battlefield of Eternity, a place that they feel confident in. They are proving it now as they get to the halfway point. They are a level ahead of Team Freedom, and Freedom will get back into this and hope that they can keep fighting before they fall farther behind.
Well, this is Race City because Hanzo will go. Phoenix has made his way up, and now the rest of Team Freedom has moved their way over to the side. Justine trying to hold point. Here comes Yoda. Salvo still 7-8 seconds away for now. Diablo, he rips it, but can he survive long enough? Diablo, he's going to fall again here, Gilly. Now they've got their eyes set on Nazmus. He falls. The Immortal was picked up by Team Freedom, but it cost the lives of 2 members of Team Freedom, and that experience continues to go in favor of Octalysis as they now approach 13.
Zugrog cannot catch a break with trying to stack up his souls. He has been targeted quite a lot by Octalysis. This time, though, Freedom get the Immortal at least, so Octalysis are not able to push against Freedom when Freedom have also lost people. They know that Octalysis will have to sit for a little while, and you can see them regrouping Freedom in the bottom to see if maybe they can either get a pick on Goku or, if nothing else, start to push this structure down, try to catch back up, because with those kills, with the early game setup, Octalysis are climbing ahead in this game 5.
That forced out a 100-second cooldown of the Ardent Defender. Will be back in time for the next Immortal phase, but if a fight breaks out before then, could spell trouble. By the time Western Clash comes around, that is a full 2-minute cooldown, bumping up to 120. So 100 seconds versus 120 is very different in the competitive HGC. I can tell you that in a couple of weeks, if he's at Western Clash, he would not risk that very same thing.
Octalysis have a camp mid, want to hold it, want to use it.
Here we go. Salvo out. Lightning Breath is spraying all of them. The spray and pray is there. Tranquility out. Zugrug trying to make things happen, but Justine with the body blocks, wave of force, knocking them around. Zugrug somehow walking away. Urel not able to get in deep enough. No Ardent Defender for that fight. Team Freedom took that, and you know Goku wishes he had that back.
That he does. But he felt like he needed to use it in the last fight when he was ganked, when a lot of Team Freedom was there. And now without Goku, 16 seconds left, Octalysis can't do anything with that camp, and 13 achieved by Team Freedom. Octalysis has been in the driver's seat for a lot of this game, but it feels like Team Freedom is grabbing the wheel starting with being able to get the last Immortal. Despite losing 2 people, it gave them enough time to regroup, start to push flank Goku, and look to get a pick there. Now they're looking for a lot more. With 13, they can get set up. They have the Shaman camp in the bottom lane, and that'll have to be dealt with eventually by Octalysis.
Yeah, this is tricky. They'll have to rotate down. You can see already the safe pathing from Goku, but Thrall and Rhaegar on top of that will force out a strong reaction. Vision for Lutano. Some poke comes in from Octalysis. No Yrel is here. See if Zugrug finds a chance to pull the trigger. Octalysis does not give him that window.
Yrel seen again in the bottom. Team Freedom have been able to keep Octalysis separated from her quite a lot. And with things like that Hand of Freedom, the Aldor Peacekeeper, as now some damage reduction, she does give a lot of utility to the team. Octalysis sneak Goku up, trying to get these bruisers. Hopefully, in their cases, they don't lose too much poke from Team Freedom in the process. So now grabbed, though, they can get back into action.
Phoenix contemplated going up to clear that wave, which is mounting in the top lane, will mount up even more with that Shaman camp. But if he showed, Octalysis would have forced that fight. And now it will be the stall out phase for Octalysis. The race towards 20 or 16 is in their favor. That camp will push down that lane, which already had some pressure in it. Yoda, you can see on the left side of your screen, will show that will give Octalysis the chance to move in and the clockwise rotation to safety here. But they find there's going to be the cleanse on Nasmus. He walks away.
They moved in, but they moved in for kills. Didn't get it because Nasmus was cleansed, gets away. And now that gives Freedom time to rotate out and keep up with the race. Freedom get the halfway point in their favor.
Wow.
Now the positioning, though. Something that Octalysis might be able to use here, might be able to siege down with the long poke of Draded. It all comes down to if Team Freedom can soak up some of those shots. Zugrug diving in deep. Dragon's Arrow connects behind that. Bud starts the Tranquility, but Ice blocks away from this Lightning Breath. Nasmus in the back line and murders Raynor, and Li Ming goes down. This is going from bad to worse for Octalysis, but Team Freedom starting to turn this game around.
They are doing it through team fights, and they have done throughout the last several minutes. They caught up in experience through those kills, and now they have an Immortal with a heavy shield on this. Zugrug with those souls. I'd say he's a lot tankier than he was in those earlier engagements, and he can dive that backline and survive as we take another look at it.
Dives in, and Bud's tried to hold on to this ice block as long as he could, finally making sure to use the Tranquility here, but Nasmus and Lutano around the side just murder those backliners. And losing a ton of damage there is far too much for Octalysis to deal with, and with how fast Freedom can pick up an Immortal behind that. That's the true story, that it is that shielded. Octalysis are just now back in action, trying to soak up to 16. They just brought Yrel back, and now they're going to hope that they can defend in a way that doesn't lose out a keep. Definitely hoping for them that they don't lose the game.
Well, Justine walks out, clears the minions so that the skill shots of Li Ming can make their way onto the Immortal, moved it into melee range. It will move forward. There's going to be the stun. There's the follow-up. Here we go. Salvo out again. Ice block is there. Prismat, he's surviving for now. Tranquility is enough. Goku gets the Divine Steed, comes back up. Minions have made their way onto the keep, and the keep sitting at 50%. Octalysis, can they hold? This is getting low, and they do.
Buds was not messing around with the crazy damage output that Freedom has with a Phoenix, the Lightning Breath, and then Hanzo and Thrall. But Octalysis, that keep is so low, they know they need to get in there and find somebody, find something, start some staggered deaths, do whatever they can in this instance. Hyperion.
Well, Nasmus gets the Ancestral in time. Justine, he's not going to walk away from this fight. Goku in deep. Earthquake already back, and now Team Freedom, if they can survive. Goku with one knockback, Prismat with another. Might have been enough to get this team to safety. At least the remaining three, those knockbacks were crucial. Team Freedom now will be able to pick up the top keep, the first of this game.
Camp behind this too. Something to clear out. 30 seconds until Yrel is back. Octalysis, for being ahead early, now all it takes is one lost team fight versus a Hanzo on Battlefield of Eternity, and he will give your opponents a gigantic immortal that just gets so much more than you're able to get. And that Octalysis wanted to focus on that Thrall kill. Back when they rotated down, they felt like they had the rotation advantage, but they put so much into getting that kill. Not getting that gave Freedom time to rotate up and start the halfway point in their favor faster. May end up being the beginning of the end in this game. We'll have to see.
We've seen plenty of comebacks with keeps down. Double camp picked up at the bottom. Defensively, this is in favor of Octalysis. Excuse me, it is not in favor of Octalysis. This is in favor of Team Freedom. They can poke from safety, and Octalysis recognizes this. They have camps pushing, so they have to speed things up. Also, 20 is close. Thrall, he survives. Here comes the salvo. Goku in deep. He tries to jump to safety. No Ardent Defender, just 5 seconds away as he is the first to fall and likely not the last. They turn their attention. They get the kill onto Yoda. Draded starting to pop off. It's a 2 for 2. They're continuing to try and follow up. Lutano, can he get the poker? He gets the snipe with the Sonic Arrow.
Oh, but it's still a 3 for 3. Zagrug and Lutano are all that's left. Who is left? There's still a Rainer. There's still a Rainer to go back and do damage. There's a double camp in the bottom lane, though. That's against the only keep remaining for Team Octalysis. And there's Lutano. Lutano, with that scatter arrow build, starts to put the damage in. He made such a clutch play to take out Li Ming because Draded was starting to pop off. He has that dominance. He was healing back up. He was using Calamity one after another. We got to take a look at that one again.
Keep your eyes on Lutano. Yes, Draded started to pop off, but he agilityed over the wall to safety. We'll see it here in a moment. The Dragon Arrow obviously kind of kicking things off, but Lutano poking from range. He goes in. He's going to have to land his Stormbow so he can get out. But watch him flip over here and watch Draded at the bottom of your screen here in a moment. He flips over and the Sonic Arrow, that is accuracy at its finest.
Absolutely insane play. But it's not over yet. Lutano does get that. And Lutano also forced halfway. Prismaticism could not keep up with the race on these Immortals, each having a damage dealer back up, and now everybody's back in action. Freedom still don't have 20. They are oh so close, but Octalysis almost have this. They almost have the Immortal, but what would the cost be? Goku's going to stay on the point, uses Ardent Defender, gets slammed in the wall, and is going to stay there because of Zagrug. Man, Dragon's Arrow. The Salvo 2, Hyperion going to be used. It's going to go through on its way. He starts to work on the Immortal.
Just one more shot. One more. 19 health. That's enough. Ooh. It is enough to keep them in this game. Octalysis, they are not out of it yet. They continue to have a chance at every turn in this series. And Team Freedom potentially looking for a back door. Goku will be the beacon to scout this out.
Octalysis recognized, but they also, without 20, it's far too risky to push along with that Immortal anyway, so they just have to make sure that they don't fall victim to that backdoor. And it shows that their mindset, despite how tense of a situation this is, it's sound that they're watching for those kinds of potential in games because there is no room for error with that keep down.
Well, they are close to 20 is Octalysis, and once you're at 20, it's all in. Octalysis was so close to taking over that last fight, but the accuracy from Lutano on that Sonic Arrow, in the end, Octalysis had enough staying power to pick up the Immortal and to prolong this game.
Well, the damage of Freedom has been a problem. At 20, there are some abilities that can be taken, some Storm tier talents for Octalysis to try to help with that, namely Indestructible. That's going to help a lot.
We got Ancestral Upgrade. That is where a lot of your healing will come in. Even Earth and Shield from Thrall to support allies in the tough moments.
Serenity is going to give more healing, also cooldown reduction for Tranquility. Seraphim generally is the pick there. Weak Spot acquired some armor reduction from Jimmy Raynor.
All quiet on the front. This is the quiet before the storm. Octalysis, they win this game, Gilly. They increase their odds of going to Western clash drastically. If they lose, they will need help from Tempo Storm tomorrow against Endemic. There is so much on the line. Controlling the majority of your fate in your own hands is far better than in the hands of another.
Whoever loses in this match is reliant on Tempo.
Yes.
Not a whole lot of fans for Endemic, out of this series at least. They've got quite a few fans otherwise.
Savage.
Who would love to see them there.
Here's the standoff, top bottom. This is in favor of Octalysis because if it stalls out, they can go and defend against the catapults, which are in the top lane. There is a camp, however, which Goku is already making his way over to deal with now.
He's going to be way separated from the rest. There's more time there from
There
Freedom.
they go. The minute Urel showed, they move right in.
Straight in, Goku gonna clear that out. Dragon's Arrow hits the back, Zugrug dives in. This is on Prismaticism, this is on Raynor, hit and slowed. Ancestral Healing keeps Zugrug going with that Hellstorm for days. Draded throwing his abilities over the wall, but Indestructible's already been used by Justin, but they bring him down, they take down Diablo, and they bring down Thrall too.
He was a sitting target, and Draded's like, look, I'm getting healed up this whole time. He was so close. The clutches of death were almost there. The Diablo kill isn't the main thing here because he had souls.
Yes.
Thrall fell after that. The Shaman camp still has value in the bot lane. Malfurion will come over. Should have the root. The Tree Ant comes out, does some damage, draws some aggro. Buds puts the damage on there. But Octalysis, they're still fighting back. They are still in this game, and they have a chance, once halftime phase is over, to move in and see if they can take another fight. The aggression here, this is Race City.
This is, with these positionings, it absolutely is. Justin goes in, has the blind hits
Bull
everybody,
shield.
puts them through the corner, through the choke point, giving a lot of time to Octalysis. Nature's Cure even being used to stop the stun of the Immortal. And our Octalysis in stopping Team Freedom from getting any shielding down on this. They are going to win the race. Draded and Prismaticism in the back bring this down. Octalysis with a 24-minute Immortal, a little less than half shielding. They're going to start their march in the top.
It's in catapult lane, so these can give some damage once they start to cycle through. Obviously, these will be cleared up. Tense moments here for both teams. Octalysis, they've got to be weary of a potential backdoor. The minute they have eyes on Team Freedom, they know it's fine.
Yeah, that bot keep is very low because Goku gave up the Shaman, and it worked. They got the kills, but he had to give up defending the Shaman.
Justin trying to make sure there is no backdoor flank attempt. Now that they have eyes, the Immortal moving in. Lightning Breath will zone out, as will Earthquake. Hyperion coming in for extra siege, and as they move forward, Prismat starts to take some damage. Tranquility is out, roots go down.
Salvo, this is it, this is it. Salvo hits, Keep goes down, Immortal still at half health. Octalysis goes back forward, they've had enough, they can't sustain, they can't deal with another phase. It's all or nothing as they get in on the core. Getting kills would be key. Zugrug doesn't have the souls, not like before, but they can't get it, and the Immortal's cleared, they'll have to go back.
They even up the keep lane, or the catapult lane. That is the main thing. They also took some damage off of the core. Nothing significant right now, no threat of a backdoor. They'll get the camp at the top to continue the pressure by the lane control in the top. That bot lane, as you stated, on the side of Octalysis is dangerously low. You have to be fearful, making sure that they don't try and come in. It just takes a small effort. If they see you anywhere else on the map, does Team Freedom, if they see Octalysis anywhere else on the map, could move in to take that down and give them catapult control over this. But for now, it is dead even as catapult lanes have been acquired in the top lane.
Both the Khazra camps were up, but Team Freedom still trying to lick their wounds in the top lane. Just move forward and clear that out. They're going to push this top lane as far as they can safely do so. After getting the camp, it forces backs from Team Octalysis, who will go back to ensure that they can be there in case Freedom wanted to do anything. Sneaky, cheeky, not getting that. Both set their sights on the Shaman camp. We'll see who wants to hold it. Looks like Team Freedom does. Immortals in 30 seconds, they'll go ahead and pick that up. The Shaman Camp for Octalysis goes where the catapults are. That is one nice win. But remember, Octalysis took a crap ton of damage on that bottom keep because of the Shaman Camp. Before Team Freedom are going to escalate the situation.
It's identical to top bottom because when Urel showed bottom, that was when Team Freedom moved in to be aggressive. And their defensive Immortal is on the bottom, their attacking Immortal is on top. This is identical situation that we found ourselves in before. Octalysis does have time to start clearing the Shaman Camp. They have to clear the Shaman Camp. It's mainly clear the Shaman first and then move in. We see Team Freedom already moving forward with Hanzo. They'll get some early damage in, but here comes Octalysis.
Goku leading the charge gets in. A quarter of the health gone. Goku's gonna dive in super
He really
deep.
wanted to get that knockback into that Immortal stun.
Well, it was a Rhaegar. Can't cleanse yourself out of that. The damage is dealt at about a quarter health for Freedom before Octalysis rotated in. It was as swiftly as Octalysis could do. Both of these teams are playing out of their minds this game. This is amazing.
Li Ming will put some damage in on the bottom when Team Freedom showed at the top. Now, Lutano and team will work their way back in. The lightning breath, the extended lightning breath. Here comes the flank from Nasmus. We've seen that. He saw that he was in trouble, put down the root, and now we come in. Justin and team, they back off.
Yeah, Justin, after seeing Goku went in, he went along with him too, just making sure that he could bail him out with the Blessed Shield if necessary to stay alive. Goku's been hit by the root, up there to clear out the catapult.
Nasmus has been scaring them every time. The one fight that exposed Octalysis was the flank from Thrall. And that's why we saw Goku with the jump over. Dreda does have very good poke on Li Ming, so they're starting to get some damage in, but Team Freedom has moved into a defensive position.
Yeah, because Freedom were all at the top together, they had been funneled up through there by making their rotation go through the Immortal. It was some time where they had to make a very safe rotation down and around. Taking advantage of that was Dreaded because that meant nobody was there to block some of his skill shots. Phoenix in the bottom, though, is going to escalate that bottom lane again. Octalysis, Freedom are trying to move them into a checkmate position.
If Phoenix pushes out one more wave, that would have really been the green light for Octalysis to come in. We'll see how that staggers up. We don't know what that is because all the attention, it could bust out at any moment here. Phoenix shows this will be Octalysis going in. Make no mistake about it. They have to fight. They cannot afford to give that up. Goku, the self-cleanse is there, and here comes Octalysis. They're coming in.
Prismat, this is a stun that's going to separate out the pack. Earthquake, Lightning Breath, everything out. Dragon's Arrow 2 forces back. Yoda came in, didn't have the salvo to go along with that because he was away. Those are several heroic abilities for Team Freedom, but the Tranquility and Blessed Shield were used too from Octalysis.
The cooldown's shorter on the side of Octalysis.
It is. It is way shorter. Those are very long abilities, but Freedom has to fight nevertheless.
Here we go, Yoda. He's stuck in a bad spot here. He does get the warp out. Diablo comes in for the counter engage. Prismat turns to bring the fire. Hyperion is out. Double root there for Nasmus, who is stacked on a 16. That's why we see so many slows, so much control, so much damage coming out at the hands of Nasmus as they go forward. Zagrog with the dive.
The stun! Knocks him into the stun. Prismat barely staying alive. Zagrog back in. Look at the health bars of Octalysis now as the salvo comes in. Indestructible proc. Goku trying to use everything he can, even Ardent Defender, but Zagrog will not be stopped as he dives in again onto Goku. The team turns around, keeping him alive, but Octalysis has been pushed all the way back into their base.
The tension is mounting here for both of these teams as Octalysis so close to folding there. Raynor stayed alive. Buds is keeping this team alive. Tranquility is back up. Salvo down. Earthquake down. Ancestral down. Octalysis, this is their chance. This is their moment to force this. Depending on the positioning of this will spell a lot. They have their shaman camps on both respective sides. We'll see what happens as Octalysis moves forward with their Li Ming and that poke damage.
Yeah, but because that halfway point was held, Freedom were able to get their shaman camp, which will be a problem again in the bottom lane. Back to that bottom lane problem for Team Octalysis.
Oh, shield missed again.
60 seconds now until that's back. Hyperion back in 18. An Ardent Defender, which has allowed Goku to play a lot more aggressively in the back line. Still a long ways out. Goku's going to be the one to deal with that camp. This gives Freedom the go-ahead to go forward. It's on Prismaticism, who's right in line for Yoda and blown up. No Raynor now as Buds uses Ice Block to get him and Dreaded out. Justin running, Goku running, Salvo up. Salvo shooting down Justin. He makes it back into the base. Even still, though, Freedom, they'll get an Immortal.
Octalysis, there is no defending against a 32-minute Immortal. It is impossible. Even if you take a team fight behind the Immortal, which you will undoubtedly have to do. Draded, got to be careful there as he gets knocked back. Repulsion will buy him some time, but the totem is going to be there, and that's going to be it. That should spell lights out here for Octalysis. Team Freedom has held strong throughout all of this, 32 minutes and counting, but it will not go much longer.
And panic possibly setting in there as Team Freedom gets a monstrous Immortal. 32 minutes into the game, they take down the keep. They've been able to manipulate that keep lane, and though so many are trying to stay forward to defend this one by one, the defenses of Octalysis are failing. Team Freedom gets onto the core of Octalysis, will take them down 3-2 and claim a spot at the Western Clash.
This series had a little bit of everything, Gilly, because from Cho'Gall to the crazy endings, the little bit of everything, I guess, sums it up nicely.
And it does. So here's what we know. Team Freedom 3-2 means that Octalysis is now very reliant on Tempo Storm. Their fate is in Tempo Storm's hands. Octalysis will qualify if Endemic can't win 2 games.
Yep.
If Endemic wins or Endemic loses 2-3, Endemic will have that spot and Octalysis will not go to the Western Clash.
Hanzo and Lutano. Lutano is a beast of a player, but on Hanzo in particular, he shines, and on this map, he's shown brightest. And Hanzo on Battlefield of Eternity continues his success. What a series, though. What a series.
It was a heck of a series. I knew as soon as we went 1-1, I was like, all right, we're going to Game 5. There's no way we don't.
We were getting ready for the match, and you said, how do you see it? I said 3-2. I'm like, I don't even know which way. It's just 3-2.
Oh, I mean, even that last game could have gone either way. I feel like the damage composition of Freedom was so good that Octalysis, even when they got those early Immortals, they just could not get as much done. Obviously, with scaling, that's going to be a thing where the later game Immortals are stronger than the earlier ones. But even still, I think if Octalysis had gotten one more, maybe that one where they got 2 kills but lost the Immortal, had they been able to get that with the 2 kills, maybe it would have been no turning back point for them. Maybe it wouldn't have been a place where Freedom could have turned it around. But that whole series, and especially that last game, were on a knife's edge.
I really wanted them to commit to that top Immortal, that top push, but the defensive Team Freedom was strong. They fought back in some of the, I guess, most tense team fights we've seen. But for Team Freedom, Urel showed bottom, and every time somebody shows in that solo lane, you know you have a 5-on-4 advantage. That's when we see the aggression, and they also had it timed perfectly because that's exactly when Lightning Breath was available, as well as Salvo and the big heroics, and that was enough for them to close out the game.
Well, we have a very happy Zugrug on the line. Zugrug, congratulations. You guys win. You're going to the Western Clash. How are you feeling, buddy?
I mean, our whole team's feeling amazing. That last game was a little bit too close, though. I think it was like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was around 33 minutes when we ended. You were diving in on Diablo, trying to set things up. Was there any point in that game where you guys thought maybe you didn't have it, where you were starting to feel maybe even a little bit demoralized?
I mean, our early game was a little bit rough. I died early getting Immortal stunned, and then we had a good team fight and brought it back. And after we were even talents, we were pretty confident that we had it because our comp scaled like really well too.
Yeah, it was such a phenomenal game. Thank you for that. I want to take it all the way back, though, to Game 1, because you know I got to ask. You guys brought in the Cho'Gall. What was the idea there? What were you guys, what did you have in mind when you were bringing in this draft?
Well, Braxis, after they changed the control beacons, like the map seems to take a really long time now. Sometimes it takes an extremely long time to get the Zerg wave, but we didn't get everything that we wanted in draft, which made it a bit difficult for the Cho'Gall to work.
Okay. So it was more of a draft issue than how things played out within the game?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely made some mistakes in the game, but I think we were missing a hero or two that we needed to make it fully work.
All right. Well, I commend you that you guys brought in a strategy, it didn't work, and then you guys still were able to maintain the composure to come back in and win the series. You guys lost game 4, and what were the comms like after you lost game 4, knowing that you had to go back into one last game?
I mean, we were like pretty ahead in game 4 and ended up losing a fight, but like we were still confident that we had them going into game 5, because other than the Cho'Gall game, we were ahead in every single game, I think, other than the Cho'Gall game. So we were confident that we would be able to win game 5.
Well, although it started out maybe slower than you would have hoped, you guys were able to get the win, and congratulations, you guys have made it to the Western Clash. I'm sure Jehal will have questions about that as well as some other things. Jehal?
Yeah, Zagrug, we asked several players earlier this week about the extra ban that we've seen. In this matchup, first pick won every single game. You guys were 3-0 on that first pick. Is it really important to get the first pick now? Do you feel a difference in draft, or is it just a matter of circumstance in this series?
We've always liked first pick. I feel like whenever we get a second pick win, we're all right, nice, we got our second pick win, now we're good to go. So we've always preferred first pick. I don't know if the bans have changed much. Maybe first pick is more powerful now, but yeah, for us, we've always preferred it.
Well, we had you guys on before, and I've been complimenting your play as of late. The aggression is something that we don't always see from Team Freedom. The old Team Freedom sometimes would be more hesitant. But your play as of late, the Murd and especially the Diablo, your aggression has really stepped up, and this team has followed that lead. What's changed for you and your play in this second phase?
I think, well, we've been trying to play more aggro as a team, like just trying to make more plays and stuff. But I think also the drafts that we're playing now enable me to be more aggressive with the heroes I'm on. Like Nasmus always on a tanky front line lately, and it just enables a lot more.
Well, that is something that I oftentimes wondered with you and Nasmus going in. It seemed like you guys have a lot more control, and Lutano behind you. It seems that you guys are letting him do a lot of the work, but the setup that you're able to accomplish has really been standout. I want to just throw a huge compliment out to you guys, and you've earned yourself a spot at the Western Clash, so congrats on that today and your victory.
Thanks.
Zagrug, you guys are returning to the Western Clash. This one will be on home turf of sorts. How do you feel you guys are going to be able to do, and have you been able to study any of the EU teams yet going?
Well, we haven't really been studying the EU teams. We've been just trying to make sure we qualify first.
Understandable.
But lately, I feel like we've been playing really, really well in our matches, and I think we'll have a better showing than last time at the Western Clash.
Is that your goal, just to make sure that you guys are able to get a series? What's the goal for Team Freedom at the Western Clash?
I think the goal is to aim for top 4.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck to you
But
there.
definitely want at least one series win.
Okay. Well, that's also good. Yeah, it's multi-tiered goals. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's awesome to get to see you guys go back to Western Clash. I wish you all the luck there, and it'll be great to see you there. And now the floor is yours for shout-outs.
Shout out to our sponsor, Team Freedom. Shout out to my teammates for stepping it up today. Shout out to our coach, Levies. And shout out to all of our fans and to Twitch chat.
Thanks, Zagrug. Congrats again.
Thanks.
3 teams. We have 3 teams now from NA, and it all comes down to one match tomorrow to decide the last one.
What's crazy is it's not just in North America.
Oh, yeah.
EU too. Like tomorrow. Well, we saw this matchup on the schedule, and we had mentioned it a week or two ago. We're like, that could decide who's going to clash when we talked about the Freedom versus Octalysis. It's definitely confirmed Team Freedom, but it makes tomorrow super interesting for Octalysis. They will be watching intently that Endemic series.
Yeah, like we said before, Endemic just has to do as well or better than Octalysis, and that comes down to the head-to-head. That Endemic beat Octalysis. That whole weekend was crazy because Endemic not only played Octalysis, but they played Team Freedom in both those series, all 5 games. It was a heck of a weekend, and this one continues to be so as we are down to the wire, my friend.
Endemic has to win 2 games. And prior to, look, Tempo Storm has still looked like the dominant team we expect them to be. Their series against Heroes Hearth I don't think was indicative of their power level and where they are. They obviously tried to mix things up some last weekend. So Tempo Storm, I mean, tomorrow is going to be so spicy because it's different if you just have to win one game.
Yeah.
But when you have to win two,
Oof.
then it was like, all right, we can't just, one's not enough, two is better.
This is it for Phase 2, Part 1. Tomorrow is the last day for these teams in Granite Gaming versus Leftovers. Fnatic did what they needed to do. They won their series, and now it comes down to if Leftovers can defeat Granite Gaming. Then in Europe, to close things out, Team Dignitas versus Zealots. A much different series were you to look back around the last Western Clash, considering that was the only team that did get a win over Team Dignitas in Phase 1, Part 1. This is not the same. In NA, what do we have to end Part 1?
Well, we'll kick things off with LFM taking on No tomorrow, so we get the warm-up game. It'll be fun to watch, see how those teams are progressing. But the warm-up game to our final game of Part 1 here in Phase 2. Tempo Storm versus Endemic. For Endemic, 2 games, and you are into the Western Clash. That's all you need. Can Tempo Storm be the gatekeepers of North America and keep Endemic at bay and let Octalysis in? But Endemic, they have looked strong as of late.
Yes, especially in the last few matches. They have looked strong. I think that they can do it. I think they can bring it. But I know Octalysis is like, no, Gilly, don't say that. This has been a heck of a day. That was an amazing series, and we're going to have more to come to end Part 1 tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us here at the Heroes Global Championship. We'll be back tomorrow with more Heroes. Until then, we'll see you in the Nexus.